guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you my Friday reads. I finished 3 books this week, and I'm currently in the middle of one more, so let's just get right into it. The first book I finished this week was Text from Jane Eyre by Mallory Ortberg. I read this in about 2 hours on Saturday morning. It's a very quick little read. It's full of text messages from various literary figures, starting from like the Greeks all the way up to like Harry Potter in present day. And it got like Shakespeare and Jane Austen and Henry James and Virginia Woolf, and it's just all these little conversations either between the author and or between the characters. And this was cute. I gave it 4 stars. I will say that there were several references I didn't know, and so I had to, research them and Google it and do stuff like that. So this is probably more for like a English major who knows like a ton of literary references, but they're all easily Googleable, and so it was a really cute little read, and I'm glad I read it. I then finished The Group by Mary McCarthy, and this is a historical fiction novel that was published in 1963, and it's detailing the years of 1933 to 1940 through the eyes of this group of friends that all graduated from Vassar in 1933. It starts a week after graduation at one of the girls' wedding, Kay, and then it ends 7 years later, just as World War I is opening up and the awareness of it is becoming, readily apparent in America. And this is actually a very interesting format. I don't think I've ever read a book like this because we see the first chapter has all the girls in it, and the last chapter has all the girls in it. But in the middle, we get a chapter from each girl. And it's not a linear thing. It's like it jumps. So like, for example, we get this chapter from one of the girls who's falling in love. And then the next chapter, this girl's been married for like 3 years. And then the next chapter, the girl's been married for like 6 years. So it's not, it doesn't start at point A and end at point B. It jumps around, and so you miss a lot of the big events in their lives. I thought this book was okay. Apparently, when this book was first published in 1963, it was very scandalous because there was discussion of like birth control and sex lives and things like that. And back then that was pretty scandalous. But today, this isn't even anything that scandalous or anything that anyone would even bat an eye about. For example, in one scene, one of the girls is going to get birth control, and so there's a discussion of how scandalous it is that she could get caught with this birth control clinic sack in her hand, and so she has to go over to her boyfriend's house and leave it at his house so that her roommates don't discover it and things like that. So it's just very, it's very pertinent to that time period, and I'm sure in the 60s it was very important to female, discussion of life and female happiness and things like that. But today it just seems very quaint and not irrelevant per se, because obviously there's still major issues in facing women today. But it just seems like we've progressed to more complicated issues or something. I don't know. It was okay, but I don't necessarily recommend it to anybody. The last book I finished was Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet by Jamie Ford. I read most of this at work on the computer in ebook form, but I did own a copy, so I figured I'd show it up. This is a dual timeline novel. We follow Henry Lee, and we start out with him in the 1940s, and he's a 12-year-old boy attending school in Seattle, and he's Chinese American, but he attends an all-white school on scholarship, and so he's sort of caught in between two worlds. His Chinese friends think he's a traitor for going to the white school, and the white kids don't like him because he's Chinese. And he has this friend Kiko who works with him in the cafeteria because she's also a scholarship student, and it's about their friendship and then what happens to Kiko and her family, because Kiko is Japanese American. And it's also about the differences in loyalty. Henry's father is very passionate about Chinese nationalism, and so he's more Chinese than American. Italian, whereas Kiko's family is very American, even though they are taken away to these camps. And then the second part, the internment camps, and the second part is in 1986, and Henry is in his 50s, and his wife has recently died of cancer, and he sort of starts thinking about how he wishes his life had been different. And part of the hotel of the story is the Panama Hotel, which is a hotel in Seattle, and in 1986, and this has really happened, in 1986, a bunch of Japanese belongings of Japanese families that they left there before they went to the camps were found, and Henry goes and he's looking for Kiko's belongings, and he's also sort of building a relationship with his son because they drifted apart after his wife's death, and so it's a comparison also of the father-son relationship between Henry and his dad and Henry as his son. So this was a really great book, and I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. For what I'm currently reading, I'm reading A Million Jews by Emily Henry. This is a YA story, and it's a magical realism tale, and it's sort of like Romeo and Juliet. The main character, June O'Donnell, and her family has been rivals with the Englert family for a long time, and they all live in Michigan. And bad things happen to the O'Donnell family when they come in contact with the Englert family, and so it's disgusting. But of course, this one of the Englert son, Saul Englert, has come back from a long absence, and June is sort of developing a friendship with him, and maybe something more than friendship. And I'm about 70 pages in, and there was some tragic event in in June's life. Her father died, but then there's something else that happened to her that we haven't seen yet, but apparently changed the way she is and her personality and things like that. So this is pretty interesting. I don't read a ton of YA, and there are some things where I'm like, okay, whatever, especially when they're talking about like crushes and things like that. But on the whole, I'm really enjoying this. It's a fun little read. I'm also planning to read Victoria on my computer at work once my ebook comes in. I finished Hotel, it's an I need something else to read. I've also checked out the Imperfectionists by Tom Rachman on ebook, and so I might read that as well, but I don't have a physical copy for that. But yeah, Victoria, of course, is a fictionalized account of Queen Victoria's life, and the Imperfectionists, if I am remembering correctly, is about like a group of college kids, and they're like in a writing club or something like that. I might be making that up. But anyway, so these are my, this one, and then the Imperfectionists is my next 2 reads for the upcoming week. So I hope everybody's having a great day, and you have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!